So my name's Tom Healey, and I work with the International Capital Market Association. That is one of the trade associations that build the CDM. So it's three trade associations that are in, if you're in the capital market space, I don't know if you guys are in the bank space or capital market yet. So there's three trade associations. ISDA for derivatives, ISLA for securities lending, and ICMA for repo and bonds. And that pretty much covers
the three trade associations. They fund the entire common domain model. The three of them, they cover all the funding, but it's an open source, of course, under FINOS, and it's an open community. There's a lot of participants, pretty much now every region, Asia, US, and Europe are all participating in it. So it's getting more of an international coverage at this point. If you, as I said, it's been going on for about 3 years now. This year is really kind of I'd say there were early adopters for regulatory reporting, but now it has really been picked up for all types of solutions, trade execution, workflows, life cycle events, collateral management, and as I've been demoing, integrating with DLT environments. And I think after me there's a company called Tokenovate, and they're going to also talk about integrating it into DLT environments. One of the things that I focus on a lot is helping the members. There are 600 banking members of the ICMA, and I help them get started with using the CDM, figure out what their problem is or what their solution is, and get them started with how you can integrate the CDM into their environment. So I wanted to kind of dive deep into it to give you kind of, like a lot on the surface, you can kind of understand what domain models look like. But when it comes to the CDM, you're kind of talking about a completely different animal at this point for a lot of reasons. So, I don't know if you have seen or been in any of the CDM presentations yet. I can quickly cover the CDM, just briefly cover what it is. And then I have a recorded demo, but I can show you. I can actually, I think in this kind of environment, I thought it'd be a little bit better to actually demo, show you something on how it's actually used. So let me actually... So this is just going to be, so the idea here is just, instead of me going through my slides, I thought in this kind of environment, I'll actually just live demo things for you and just show you how everything works. So the CDM is a data model like you probably experience and work with in other data models. You may probably used other data modeling language like UML or some other modeling language. We have a custom modeling language that is domain specific for financial industry. It's called Rune. And it is looks in a text format. It looks like this here. I like to show you kind of a graphical view of kind of what it looks like. So, when it comes to financial products, of course, you want to start by defining what the parameters of the product are. And that, in many ways, begins by trying to understand what the cash flows are. And the cash flow structure here gives you all kinds of parameters that actually you can use to construct all kinds of products. So even though there's a number of templates that you can do derivatives, foreign exchange, bonds, and so repo, you can actually construct kind of any type of product that you would like. One type of product that's heavily used here is interest rate payouts. So, like everything almost has an interest rate payout attached to it in some way, whether it's a bond or derivative. But you can see here in the depth of how you can construct different parameters. You define your rate specifications, maybe a fixed rate or a floating rate. your different day count specifications, right, that are standard in the industry. You can define individual like payment dates, payment schedules, and payment dates. You can define, even if you have parameters around delays, payment delays, and so on. And then you can, go down sometimes on bonds or repos or things like that. There are stub periods and so on. So it has, it takes a little bit of time to really kind of go through, but once you start modeling some base products like bonds or equities and foreign exchange and so on, you just start layering on top of that to understand what a derivative or an option would actually look like. This is the graphical view of what actually is the text view. So the actual language itself. So if I go in here to look for product, this is the language definition. So this is in the DSL language. And this language is used as the base modeling language. But what is different about the CDM is actually that it has code generators built into it. So you, after you use the model or you have the model and you build the CDM, so the build CDM actually just produces a standard jar file if you're working in Java, but it can produce a executable library in Python, in DAML, TypeScript, C#, many other languages, which makes it very universal because the output of what you get from using it is a JSON structure of representing a product. You can send it to somebody else. They may be running Python, they may be running DAML, but they can still ingest that JSON object and instantiate it in their environment.
So, excuse me, is this the CDM language?
This is the CDM language. Yes, this is the CDM language. The language itself is called Rune. That's the Rune, R-U-N-E. That's the name of the language itself. Yes, right. Yeah.
So will you highlight this operational model one more time for me? When you say prescribe, so if I prescribe this instrument, is the software that you generate a code to support that particular instrument and not support any other instruments?
No. So what's built into the CDM is the structure for you to build the products, right? So when you say, I want to create a interest rate derivative, you will create a product by instantiating it, let's say within Java code, and say, oh, it has two interest rate payments. One is fixed, one is float, and you pass in the parameters, and then
I hear you on cost about whatever.
Yeah.
Like, is there a way to say represent whatever is trading on MIS?
There are, you mean to just
All of them, like kind of building, like I don't have to describe it.
yes.
They kind of also done it already.
Yeah. There are some pre-built, there are functions that will pre-build the objects for you, pre-build the products for you. So there are built into the CDM functions for you to simply say, I want to create, or I want to do a derivative trade, I want to do a bond trade, or I want to do a repo trade. And then you only have to pass in a few parameters in order for that to get, to use that. Yeah. Okay. So, what I was, just going to, let's say, if I was to give you an example of this, and I'll show you, I'm going to go back and forth a little bit so you kind of get the idea here of what this is. So, because I do a lot of work in the repo space, this is an example of a repo trade. And if you're made familiar with a repo trade, it's really just a loan where you provide a security to your lender and the lender uses that as collateral. So just to take out the risk that you may not repay the loan. These tend to be very short term, but what you're doing is they call the repurchase agreement. And you can see here that actually it's just 1 day. So I'm just doing it over 1 day. This is the security that I'm going to provide to the lender. This is the amount of cash that I'm getting back. So I'm borrowing this much cash. This is the amount of cash with the interest that I'm going to return to the lender, right? And this has been this interface is all Java, but just behind it is all CDM. So the structure of the object of the repo trade is all CDM. And what you see here on these events, the new trade, book trade, substitutions, repricing, these are all pre-built events in the CDM language. So I don't have to write a code to actually do a repricing. I've modeled that in the system through what's called an instruction, and that instruction, so you don't have to even program the repricing, you program an instruction. The instruction is executed in order to do a repricing on the product itself.
So for this repo trade, how much data what did you fill in?
What did I fill in? So I have essentially have a behind here a Java object that would have all these parameters that would get passed from the screen into the Java object being a CDM object. And maybe what I'll do is I'll show you and you can see it. So I'm going to book this trade. And these are CDM events that are occurring, right? So I essentially have instantiated the object. It gets confirmed. It gets formed. These are steps in the CDM process.
One quick question.
Sorry, it said load, should load there. What happened there? Sorry, go ahead with your question.
I assume the CDM models have versions.
Yes.
Are they backward compatible?
Not all, right? Not all. So not sure why that is not coming up. I should be able to see that. Sorry. So we are, that's why you don't do live demos. I will find some place to show this to you. Not sure why it didn't go through. Let me find it for you. See if I can find the object here. So just sorry, go to sidetrack there for a minute. So we actually run a regular versioning system. We do major versions every year. We're up to version 6 in production at the moment. There is version 7 will come out probably in January or something. We do there's a regular versioning system, so you'll see 10.3 and so on and so forth. So we have a regular standardized versioning to it. The major versions 6 to 7 means they're not compatible. They're not backward compatible. So we are on 6 at the moment. When we went to FINOS, we were on 4. We are now on 6 in production. 7 will come out next year on this as well. So sorry, didn't know why that never worked, but let me just see if I can get you. Just want to show you what this looks like. So this is probably the one I just did here. Yeah, so this is the output. So you essentially, you see the event date, you see the primitive instruction that took place here, and you see the details of the trade. This is this JSON object representation that came from the CDM Java object. So out of the Java object, we have a serialization function, so you can produce JSON objects out of your Java objects in JSON format, and you can directly ingest them. So if somebody sends me, and this is the way this works, I can put them in a database, I can send them to somebody. They don't need to reformat them, map them, or anything. They are ingestible right into your application as executable objects. So there's no mapping, no conversion, nothing of that sort that you actually have to do. So that is one of the beauties of really having code generators out of your model. You eliminate a lot of work that you would have to do if you had to do mapping itself, and you can communicate with many other platforms without having to write mapping functions and conversion functions. So assuming
same kind of minor version.
same.
Minor version.
Oh, yes, assuming same minor version, right? So you can run multiple CDMs. We are making extensions now onto the serialization, which will give you more data about the message you're actually, you send. You get the object, you know various aspects about its versioning that will enhance it a little bit. But yes, as long you can run multiple CDMs, and then you can redirect where the objects should go if you need to.
As of now, I kind of, if I'm connecting to 5 different clients, I need to know what CDM model they are using.
That's right. That's right. You need to either know what they're using, or you can put a wrapper. A lot of firms actually put another wrapper on top of it just to say, this is the version, right, and that I'm working with. But we're going to embed the version now into the serialization, right? Yeah. Yeah. So, as I said, just to show you kind of what the, the function, the language looks like, I'm going to, so here's an example of a function written in the Rune language, which will do where is it now? Where'd it go? Yeah, which will do a not a reset. I want a reset. I want a so this is a repricing function, which is just over here. So this is the job. This is the Rune language that you use to generate or create the function that you'll actually connect to on the front end. So you connect your Java front end into the Rune, or into the Java code that's generated from the Rune language, right? So now you have, it's the code generator from the language to the code generator. The code generator is what you will produce the interface for you to actually execute these functions. So a big part of the, the time saving is that you simply can model something. You model something, and everyone can understand the model. Business analysts can understand the model. They could even do the model. They wouldn't even have to know how to code. They simply say, this is what this trade looks like. This is what this product looks like. And they, knowing more maybe about the financial products, can do the modeling. And then the CDM you run the CDM function, it will regenerate or generate the code for you that actually represents that object. Right? So, you know, as an example, let me just see if this repricing event actually works here that I was running. So I'll run a reprice. Event. See what happened here.
So in your experience, how long does it take to come out some proficiency?
You know, it kind of all depends on whether they have any background in modeling and if they have financial products, right? And so I would say I've seen from when we started this that a couple of months, a business analyst and a developer are already developing in a couple of months' time.
So then assumes the background you were referring.
Yeah, exactly.
Something. Some modeling background.
Some background, at least to understand kind of the structure of financial products or the structure of cash flows and trades and so on. So if you have a background in that, when you look at this, it will be pretty self-evident as to what it is, right? So I mean, one of the things I was, you know, going to just those are the basics of it. One of the things I was demonstrating earlier is that you can create your own extensions. I won't cut into it. So you can create your own extensions. And one of the things I demoed earlier, and I'm going to demo tomorrow. So if you want more on interfacing the CDM into a DLT environment, one of the things that we're doing as an extension is actually building a Web3 interface that you can plug in. So if you've worked with Web3 interfaces, you'll understand what the Web3 configuration structure is. From this, I can actually now, and I was demoing, connecting directly to a blockchain. So it'll have all the parameters, your ABI and all the parameters of your providers and your interface through a Java library that you can connect directly from the CDM into a DLT blockchain. I was using plugged into an Ethereum blockchain, which I was running on my desktop. So I have another demo tomorrow, another session I'm running tomorrow to run through the whole demo. It's, I think, 4 something in the afternoon tomorrow. I'll run through the whole example of how you extend it and how it runs on a blockchain. I just wanted to kind of give you a flavor. We have a table out there if you want to come by, stop by and understand a little bit more about how to do it. But I'll just say a little bit of history on the CDM. Started out as a model of representing all financial products and was used for regulatory reporting, but it has quickly expanded because of the use cases of interfacing within your organization for connecting to back office systems, connecting to front end trading systems, connecting to counterparty systems, client feeds coming in. There's all kinds of applications that are now getting deployed now because you can have one common data model and event model representation. And you don't have to take a model and then start programming with it. You actually can, which they reside in Maven. So if you're familiar with getting code out of Maven, you can actually get the production code pulled down directly from Maven and you can actually start using it. So I know that the Token of 8 guys, I think, are up next. So I don't want to hold them up. And thanks everyone.